I become a sports athlete and makes millions of dollars? Can you do that? So at least it gives an understanding. And so that way, like I said, this is touching on the Asian community a lot, and I can shoot a whole video about this. But this is the reason why most kids in the Asian community, right? There's this stereotype, right, of we come into resent our parents, right, because you're pushing them to go towards a goal, but they don't understand the purpose of that goal. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of His and Hers. This is my lovely wife,
Sim. Nice to meet everyone again. Woohoo!
Yep, and you guys all know me as Twan, and obviously the new viewers, that's our names, right? And to obviously our loyal viewers, thank you for joining us once again, right? And guys, as you're here, of course, right? Please smash that like button, turn on the notification bell, right?
Ding!
Comment, share, right? We've been shooting videos where we're reacting to people's comments, so we love to see the comments, guys, good or bad. So it gives us obviously a chance to react to them and respond to you guys, and we really love answering your guys' questions as well too. Okay,
and if you're watching all the other videos of ours, past, present videos, hey, comment. You can, we'd love to keep reading them.
We try to read everyone. All right, guys, go check out our channel over at His and Hers YT. Right, we got shorter clips over there, and so we're gonna be posting, a lot more as we get the chance. Today, I'm excited because this video kind of just popped up into my recommendations earlier today, and it's actually a video on the roommates. It's a channel that I do watch from time to time. It's a couple guys that they kind of like talk about, very similar topics that you and I talk about, honey. It looks like in their place, right? So that's why they call themselves the roommates. Cool. So yeah, this is our first reaction video to the roommates, right? So a couple
roommates.
a couple of things. These guys, I wouldn't really call them RP. So, if you guys know what RP, I don't want to say it because YouTube, right? I would consider them more like WP. Or like White Pill, right? So they are definitely a men's improvement channel. Like they're trying to advise, help men become better men. But I would say that they kind of do it without really maybe pushing the accountability on the woman as much, right? They're looking at it from like a standpoint of like, hey, we're going to do our best to try to help men become better and, and recognize that they can all become better men. And hopefully by doing that, they can get, good relationships and get married. But the content that I've been able to watch from them so far, it's like they don't really put too much on the other side of the conversation. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm very excited to react onto their first video. And the reason why, too, guys, is the title of the video, right? So it says, why men are failing drastically in 2022. So I want to hear. I want to see why. All right.
Okay, here we go.
For you. Yeah. This is all anecdotal, all feelings, no facts. Okay. Do you feel like there's more financially successful black women our age or more financially successful black men?
Women.
Okay. What percentage would you think would be women compared to men?
I'll say 60-40. 6% women, 40% men.
Why?
Education.
Okay, break it down.
When you really look at it, now when you say financially successful, are we including in like my message, debt free, or are we just talking about
really quick, guys? He just said that in the beginning, right? So we just make sure it's clear, right? This is pure feels, no statistics. No. These guys are just answering the questions on that question in terms of like, and it was very specific too. It was very, in the black community as well too. So this is no real statistic. It was just kind of what their thoughts were. Okay.
Yeah.
Income, good education, period.
I'm talking about tax return.
I'm just talking income. Not even education, just income.
Yeah. So ladies for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's actually, and I can't quote it. Yeah. I wish I would have known because I would have definitely looked it up to get the actual quote. But it has been quoted that when it comes to the African American culture, ladies are leading the homes.
Yeah. So,
which is sad.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I feel like it'd be a great conversation with you, especially when it relates to finances.
Yeah.
So there's two things that are confusing to me. Two things are confusing. I hear many people say that. Many people say that. I'm biased for two reasons. Okay. One, most of my friends are guys who are killing it, like you, like Chris.
Right.
So my sample size is different.
Right.
Second, I'm not around a lot of just black women.
Right.
Honestly, I just not around a lot of them, so
Yeah.
I can't compare as much as the guys do. But to me, I know what you were talking about with the education numbers. I know you can literally look up back.
I would like to see that stat. I'm kind of interested now, right?
Okay.
So I have heard of this stat, and we should go look it up, guys, right? But I have heard of the stat in general, not just black women, but I have heard the stat that in a certain age group, women in general, all ethnicities, are out earning men.
Yep.
Right. Obviously the school is probably a huge part of it, right? Women are attending colleges at a 60-40% split.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of where we're kind of getting this kind of like a perception of women earning more than men at a 60-40 split. Is because women are attending colleges and achieving, college degrees and that type of stuff at a 60-40 split versus men.
Well, they're being supported. They're being supported in all this stuff, or whether their job fields now are paying for it, whatever else they, all that stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think that's kind of where but there is a stat. I think it is true that at a certain age range, women are out earning men income wise.
Well,
right? Not net worth wise, not like, we were talking about like just true net worth and assets wise, but just income.
They'll look it up.
Master's degrees, who gets some more, who's in college more.
Yeah.
Women, especially the HBCUs, at least 60-40 to the men.
Right.
So I know from an education component, as well as I do also know that as it pertains to just general income, the rule of thumb is always the more education you have, the more money you make. It's not a law for everybody.
Right.
Doesn't mean that because you didn't graduate high school, you can't earn six figures.
Right.
No.
Right.
There's exceptions, but the rule, generally speaking, is education, and women are crushing education. But there is data which shares how the average male, even the black male, makes more than the average woman.
Absolutely.
So then I'm wondering if the data shows, like I said, you guys don't have it, it's all feelings, it's all opinion.
Yeah.
If the data shows there's black men earn more than black women, then why do people say there's more women doing better than the men? I'm curious too.
I think because when you really look at it, again, this is all opinion, not facts.
Of course, all feelings and facts.
Yeah. It's because on the factual side of things, the number one rising entrepreneur is a black woman.
Yes.
So it's not a white man, it's not a black man, it's not a Hispanic woman, whatever. It's a black woman.
Just real quick too, I think we're kind of starting out from a bad starting point. Kind of feels before real starting point. Just my thought, my opinion, my thought process, but we should probably start out more from like an actual factual standpoint.
Maybe they want to do a reverse to say, hey, this is our just thoughts, and then maybe they'll bring the facts out later.
Yeah, but I mean, we can have a good conversation, but I think we're kind of starting from a wrong basis already. Like I said, this is my pure opinion, but
it's our first video. Let's see.
Correct.
And then on the other side of things, it's like you see ladies out here getting a job, raising kids, and starting a side hustle just to provide for their kids. And so for me, when I look at that, that's why I say from an opinion standpoint.
And to complete my point, I forgot to throw a stat out there. There's a stat out there that 60% of black men are middle class, right? And then I think something like 40% of them are unmarried. So it's when you think about that actual stat, it actually kind of debunks this whole thought process that we're going down right now, right? So the average black man, above more than average, more than half, is middle class, and the majority of them are not married.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're kind of starting from a bad starting point.
Well, they just said feel.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of a feeling conversation right
there
now.
There are more ladies who are out here winning, not because they really want to, but because they have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we as men are out here creating babies, but we're not providing for our children. And so the ladies are having to step up to the plate, while some men are just enjoying life and playing that game.
Yeah. So another thing
and I think that's kind of where that bad starting point is causing that comment. I mean, that was a pretty powerful comment, right? Like, women have to work because the men are not pulling their weight.
Well, they're not taking care of the kids, so now they got to step up to the plate. That's what he said.
And like I said, I don't want to make this an ethnicity thing because I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Like, But I just said the stat of 60% of black men are middle class. If they're 60% of middle class, then why is there's this perception that they're not doing their part then?
Yeah. Well,
right? Does that make sense?
Let's continue
right?
watching, see.
And yeah.
That I looked into in regards to I was doing a lot of research about this topic because I've heard this by so many women, and I was always like, what's going on? So one of the things when people talk about the pay gap between men and women,
real quick too, I keep on forgetting, but another stat too, right, is that there's a historical stat that says only 40% of men has obviously procreated with the pretty much all women, right? So if it's this minute men that these women are sleeping with, that are having babies with them, it's still this small number. And if the 60% of men are actually middle class and have a good job, then we're talking about just these.
So it can't affect the whole,
Yeah, like
overall.
so it doesn't make sense, this mindset that you're saying that these men are not doing their part, because you're just dealing with this small percentage of men that are just sleeping with you and having kids with you.
We'll see, honey, what he's trying to say. He saw a stat.
The major factors that they don't look into consideration is age.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So generally speaking, like there's a lot of women who were seniors at law firms in their early 30s who now in their later 30s, they're just at home raising their children.
Yeah.
So now their income might be lower because they might be working part-time at the law firm.
Yep.
But in their early 30s, they were making $400 to $1 million a year, but later on in life, they're taking different jobs. So when you look up college age.
So guys, that's, see, once again, we're starting off on the wrong foot. You know how many women make over $75,000 a year?
Much. We've already
it's like 15% or 10% or something like that. So you're talking about a minutia portion of women that's going to be making $400,000 a year.
Yes.
That's a small minutia of people. I think once last time we said 1% of people make over $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
So and if that's all people.
That's not
so we're talking about a percentage of a percentage, right? So how are you gonna say that? Oh, there's these women that in their young kids, young life used to make $400,000, and now they retired and taking care of the kids, and now they're making less. That can't even affect the statistic.
No.
If you're talking about less than 1% of the population, how is that even going to affect the statistic?
No.
So this conversation, I think, honestly, right now is already kind of going down.
I'm itching my head. I don't know.
Yeah, this conversation is starting to go down kind of a...
From 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Usually across most ethnicities, it's the women are making more compared to the men.
Absolutely.
And so that's something for the guy, because I was confused about that, for the guys who are like, well, the numbers show it's because it's conflicting. Like they'll say women are earning 80 cents to the dollar to men, but there's more successful women than men. I'm like, yes, so you have to look a little bit deeper. And go ahead. You say something?
No, I was going to say, no, you got to go deeper. Like what you were saying. Yeah. Because it's like you're right. Most, when they get married, they'll take off so they can raise the kids or get a part-time job so they can still be a part of the kid's life. So that brings down the income.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you really look at it, you'll see a little.
No, see, like I said, their stats and their thought process is already all misconflated. Guys, go check out this thing Uber did recently, right? The driving one, right? Because the cool thing about that stat is that there's no play on gender at all.
No.
It just records who works, how many hours of work, what routes they took, and who made money and what made money. There's no discrepancy of, well, it was a woman that did it or a man that did it. Of course, it tells you the gender. So now you can read some real stats, right? What they found was that the men worked longer hours. The men worked for longer hours. Right? No, longer in general. So they gained more experience. And then the men chose routes, right, that actually benefited their earning potential. So I guess the routes that do better are like the ones around the airport, right? Because people need to travel and travel and stuff. And so the men, because of their experience and because they were willing to work longer hours and figure this out, they would learn the correct routes to maximize their earning potential. So it just shows you guys that it's just what you choose to do is what makes you earn more money. Yep. The pay gap thing has been debunked so many times, and I just find it funny, interesting as well that this Uber statistic literally just crushed that facade, false thinking, Yep.
Jump maybe from the guys to the women, but it's not this massive jump. Yeah. I remember working, having a job, and I know all the ladies in the building were making way more money than me.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the deeper. And then too, let's just be real, man. Sometimes media they just spin stuff just to piss us off. Let's just be real. Like, let's just make it.
I'll
look
give
like
him
this.
that.
But you're not really giving
all
of the
information. Huge part of it.
Yes.
These are all ladies who are staying at home. These are ladies who are. I read one study and it frustrated me. They did a study off of 1,000 ladies. When you really dug deep into those 1,000 ladies, I think it was 460 of them.
And I'm going to say something, and this is not ethnicity based at all. This has nothing to do with black women or the black community. Yeah. I think this is happening with modern people and modern women in general. I think this is the reason why we're having this huge issue. And so far, these guys aren't tackling it the way we should be tackling it. The problem is we're focusing on the HVM, the high value man. And so you think of everyone else, the modern woman thinks of everyone else as deadbeats. Right? And what happens is when you choose a high value man, right? Well, quote unquote, he chooses you, right, for sex. He's not going to support. He's not going to support you. He's going to have sex with you, knock you up, and then not take care of you. Resources, commitment, all that stuff. And so now you're thinking all these freaking deadbeat guys. No, they're not deadbeat. You chose a man that wasn't going to commit to you.
Yep.
Right? And that's what's happening with the modern. So where is the accountability for the modern woman? That's all I'm trying to say.
Any.
Right. So far, this video is the title of this video is why men are failing drastically in 2022. But I would say it's more why women are failing drastically in 2022
because they're not trying to wake up. They're not trying to, you're still trying to think that lust is love. You think that, if I give it up, that I'm going to get something. Of course, you're going to get something in return. It's called shebang, transaction, done deal. He's going to be gone. And then you equate it with every man is the same.
Yeah.
Like whether they're middle or whatever else, and you think negative already. And then you become a coward saying, you know what, all men are deadbeat. But you try to get this high value man who doesn't even care about you. All he wanted was a transaction. Correct. He didn't want a wife. If he wanted a wife, trust me, he would already put a ring on your finger if he wanted a wife. He will do anything to put a ring on your finger. It doesn't matter where he came from.
And then this is the other problem with the modern women too, Let's say a guy isn't high value in terms of his finance potential or even but the value the problem with the modern woman is that they've been lied to that says, you can have sex with as many partners you want. You can be sexual. So what are you going to do? You're going to find some hot young dude. And what we talk about, young guys, they don't got their crap together.
No.
They don't have their crap financially together. So what these women do is they're going to go find these young guys that are just, hot, and they're going to freaking have sex with them, get knocked up by them.
Or
support them for said sex, and now you're complaining about it. Whose fault's that? Who made that choice?
Yeah, you did. At the end of the day, ladies, it's you. If you didn't want the middle class man who loved you, who wants to nurture, who wants to pamper you, but no, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough for you. So you didn't want to make the sacrifice. And then you go try to these high value man or this guy that looks really good. But then you know what? He don't want no commitment from you.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, then you just look at everybody else's deadbeats.
Yeah.
And then you look down on the man who I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't want to say anything anymore.
No, it's like I
weren't
said,
even
so
working
far.
at all. Never had a job.
Yeah.
So that dropped everything down.
Yeah.
So you got to do the research, man.
Prince George County. What is the male to female ratio in Prince George County?
Well, I just moved out there,
Okay.
but it's from an opinion from me just driving around and enjoying the view.
It's in your favor. It's definitely in your favor.
It's definitely in my favor.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from this week's episode to talk to you guys about our amazing new sponsors over at Shortform.
Okay,
guys, part of the
skip this
information
part
about.
here.
So go to Shortforming up your mind, and let's get back to this week's episode.
Man, it's definitely more ladies, but Prince George County, depending on the side that you're on, Upper Marlboro, Bowie, that's going to be like that young Fort Washington. My side of the town is going to be older. It's still going to be more ladies to men.
Okay.
What type
Absolutely.
of career these people are having? Are they having their own businesses?
Dude, man, businesses and politics is big out there.
Okay.
So politics, business ownership, is very, very big, and government jobs are very, very big out there. And so,
Hey guys, real quick, who's the number one employer of females? Government. So no surprise that there's more females in where he's living than men.
which is actually pretty unique. And then also too in that area, man, you have two of the wealthiest African American churches in there. No debt.
The church has no debt.
The church, no debt.
That's in, you gotta practice good steward if you're gonna preach the word.
No, I'm serious. I mean,
For
and
real.
that was impressive to me to see that in Prince George County, a predominantly African American church that is building buildings, starting schools. They're paying cash, not financing, nothing. And I think when you have like an entity like that that is teaching and preaching,
Yes.
it's going down to the people. That's why you have that success coming out of the area.
100%.
So we had a really interesting conversation.
I
with
would
women
be
about-
curious on the teaching and preaching though, because there's a lot of these RP community channels.
Yep.
I mean, Kevin Samuels has spoken on it.
Yep.
Men are leaving the church,
Yep.
right? Because unfortunately, the church is not really preaching their
supposed-
truth anymore, right? Which is
What
like
they're supposed to. Family.
Remember, guys, go watch our video about we talked a breakdown about obviously the people controlling the truth with religion, and then now with government, and obviously now with social constructs. But the church was there to obviously instill moral constructs to us, so that way in our pursuit of the truth, we would not just do anything to get the truth, right? Because otherwise. We would do what the lion analogy is, right? We would literally the best man standing.
Yep.
We would just conquer. The best man remaining standing would get all the women, right? That's how that's how men and women society used to operate.
Yeah.
The morality that the religion brought in was to, hey, you're supposed to be good, kind to one another, don't kill one another, and also, like I said, it was to control the marriage aspect, right? Because before this, like I was telling you guys, the man that killed everyone would have all the women.
Yeah.
And so that would ensure his child, right? That would ensure paternity. Well, we couldn't just keep going around killing everyone, right? And so we had to come up with an ideology, because that's what the religion
The
is.
unity part.
Right, to say, okay, hey, we can't kill everyone. Well, how do I ensure, though, that I get a woman? And how do I ensure that that woman will be mine, remain faithful to me, and obviously have a kid
That's
with
why
me?
it's a marriage. Is that
That's
marriage
why there was
unity
this
part.
concept of marriage through the church was formed, because you guys read your history. But originally, when marriage was the concept of marriage was conceived, the woman was owned by the man.
Yeah.
The man owned the woman, right? So yes, there was this husband and wife, but the man owned the woman because that was a way you could ensure that the child was yours, right? And so now, like I said, coming full to 2022, the church doesn't have that ideology anymore, right? We talk about all the time in the RP community where, like, the church is going to unfortunately enable bad behavior in women, right? And so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know this church, so I'm not going to speak on them, but I would say
about that theory, and I want to talk more about it. I want to hear what men have to say. I want to hear what women have to say. I know there's gonna be a lot of opinions after this episode. But about the theory that there's a lot of women who are successful, and there's a lot of, especially between the ages of 20 to 30 versus the men. And so my question is, why in the culture are the women being raised to be so successful and the men are falling behind, in your opinion?
There's gonna be a lot of opinions after this show.
No.
Man, oh man, I'm gonna get slammed for saying this. But I think it's because this generation, or the generation before us, our parents, right? They're raising the ladies up to be the boss chicks. They're raising the ladies up to be the strong ones. And then it's like you have single mothers who are teaching their daughters, go out there and win, and then not really teaching their sons stuff because they can't teach sons, right? And so I think that this generation of ladies have the mindset of, I got to be like my mom.
Okay, there's a lot. He's going to start talking a lot, so I don't want to go. Okay, so there's a lot there, okay? 20 and 30s. Men and women, we talked about this. We're different, guys. We're on different biological clocks. A woman who's 20 is one thing, but a woman who's 30 is another thing. 30, man, you're approaching your biological clock ending here.
It's halfway,
right?
Like,
yeah, so I mean, we can't put that range of 20 and 30 as it's such the same range, you know? A woman in her 30s, she better be serious about a relationship and getting with a man if she really wants an outcome of having, marriage and kids. Yep. Right? Unless you want to like start, running the risk of obviously geriatric pregnancy, right? So I'd like, obviously I'm gonna let him finish his thing, but I just want to point that out, guys. Like a 20 to 30-year-old man, he's in a different state of frame. I mean, he's still gonna be
discovering.
He should be trying to get his values better because it's gonna take a while to gain that knowledge. It's gonna take a while to gain that fame and status and also finance
for this
to get the best outcome. So we can't look at the two genders as being in the same age group as being the same in essence goals, right?
I got to carry the weight. I got to do this. I don't need a man for nothing. So I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get the education. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to start a side business.
Okay, so now he's talking about how, like, the culture is talking, a single mom specifically, are teaching women. Their girls to be independent. Because it's through a mindset of fear. I'm a single mom. Your dad left me. I got with him for whatever reason. I'm not going to use any, I don't know the situation. Maybe deadbeat dad, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is, the reality is still the same. The outcome is still the same. You're a single mom now, and now you have to take care of
she had all that load.
Your kids by yourself, right? And so, you're going to teach your girl, unfortunately, yes, to be a boss babe, yes, to be more educated, but he left one thing out. He left one thing out that's super important that I have to get you guys to independence. They're teaching their daughters to be independent from the man. It's one thing to go make your money, be a boss babe, to be able to take care of yourself. But it's another thing to imprint the mindset of like, hey, you don't need a man. You just need to be independent.
You do need a man. I'm sorry to say.
And that's where the problem is, right?
No, you do need the right man who actually cares and want to nurture you and care for you and love you and, is inspired to work hard for you. That's the kind of things you would want to teach your daughter too. Not just like, hey, just because I'm a single mom, hey, I don't know what the backstory is for them to be a single mom or single parent. But at the same time, you have to teach your child, whether it's a man or a woman, hey, for a man, you got to be tough. You got to sucken up. You're going to have kids. You're going to, you have to, work your butt off to support and be inspired by a certain woman. This is a woman that you choose. This is a woman you don't choose. And this is the kind of things that single parents or parents have to teach. Doesn't matter if you're single or parent.
But the problem is they can't because they're coming from this mindset of fear. Right, and that's that. Regardless, if you had to separate for whatever reason, it's going to most likely be a negative reason, right? And we already talked about, guys, right? 70 to 80% of the breakups are initiated by the woman, so she's gonna have this, unfortunately, resentment, whatever, right? This negative thought process.
And then you have us men who, unfortunately, some of us haven't been raised with a father, and we don't have brothers like us in the corner. And so they're just falling off, not because they want to, just they don't have the knowledge and the wisdom to do it.
No, that's exactly the conversation we were having with these two ladies about what you described. Because this one woman, she was really introspective. She was like, her parents were great, but growing up, she saw there was a difference between how her mother raised her and how her mother raised her brother.
Absolutely.
And she was talking about differences like she would have a lot of responsibilities around the house. Cooking, cleaning, taking care of certain things, where the brother just kind of chilled and had food fed to him, had his laundry done for him, and had a lot of things done. And then so there was, even from a domestic responsibility perspective, he was being conditioned to be taken care of. And she was being conditioned to take care of somebody.
Yes.
That's a lot, right? Guys, that woman that he's referring to, they obviously had a mom and dad. He said parents, so that means they had a mom and dad, right? And so the mom was teaching her how to be a good mom.
Good wife.
Yeah,
on top of
and
that,
somehow she got the wrong impression
made it
that
negative looking.
Like, yeah, negative that it wasn't, the brother wasn't being taught everything. No, like that's what you need to learn.
You think about that. When your brother gets married, he has to carry the whole load to whoever he is in love with, later have to support her, his wife, his kids. Okay, that's what that's why the mom, that's why you say to a son, you got to be toughened up. You're going to have to take care of this and this and this. But then for a woman, you know what? You have to be nurturing. You have to be caring. You got to take care of your this and this and not a cook, because guess what? You're going to be that person to inspire that man. If you fix yourself, to marry you and take care of you. I'm
very curious to hear the overall big picture. Like, what did the dad do in that situation, right? If the mom did kind of treat the son like, hey, don't do anything, let your sister do it, right? I'm curious to see how old the son was. Was he just a younger brother and, he obviously didn't have the maturity to do it? Yeah. Or was she really trying to teach the daughter like, hey, you need to learn these skills so that way you can become obviously a good helpmate, a good wife, a nurturing and caring wife, right? And so there needs, at the end of the day, there's something wrong with the message from the parents. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, they're looking at it as a negative way.
Yeah, because obviously the daughter took it as a negative way. Yeah. There needs to be a context from the parents, because the parents need to know the reason why I'm doing this, right? And so this is some advice to parenting out there, because we do this all the time, right? We teach our kids this, but we provide them with a context. And this is a huge problem within the Asian community, because I know you guys love me talking about, things that affect or kind of like our Asian community and the way our culture is. This is a huge thing in the Asian community, right? Because we are always taught things, but we are never explained why we do this thing. Oh, go to school, become a doctor, become an engineer. Well, why? Yeah. Right? Work hard, do this, and like make sure you're quiet. Don't be outspoken. Well, why? Right? If you can explain, you need to provide the context so that way people can understand the purpose.
Here's what we break down. When they say, okay, become an engineer, this, because the why is so you can take care of yourself. And later, if you want to run our business or something else,
it's a stable job that's going to guarantee you a good salary, and it's going to make you money, so that way you can provide for your wife and your family and your legacy, right? If you can provide context, the kid will be, okay, cool. Is that something I want to do? Well, dad, mom, can I become a doctor? Can I do that? Yeah. Can I become a sports athlete and make millions of dollars? Can you do that? So at least it gives an understanding, and so that way, like I said, this is touching on the Asian community a lot, and I can shoot a whole video about this. But this is the reason why most kids in the Asian community, right? There's this stereotype, right, of we come to resent our parents, right?
Which
because you're pushing them to towards a goal, but they don't understand the purpose of that goal.
No,
right?
And you have to explain to them. You have to say why. You have to give that kind of explanation. That's what our Asian community isn't doing. I understand. And that's why we're sometimes considered tiger moms, or pushy dads, or it's because
we're just very distant, right? Like it's just like, oh, my mom and dad don't really explain stuff to me. They don't really talk to me. They don't really seem to support me, right? That's a huge one in the Asian communities. Like they don't really seem to support me. It's because you don't explain, parents. Okay, like dude,
I mean, to say nothing about that. I mean, because that happens, I know the young lady I was talking to a couple of years ago, that was her training. She was like, I was trained to take care of you, and you shouldn't have to do nothing but just go out there, get a job, and bring a check home. Yeah. And I was like, well, there's so much more to a man than just bringing home a check.
Yeah, and then what she brought up as well was like, so she made a really great point. I think this was a really brilliant deduction from her. She was saying that, generally speaking, with a women will be harder on women than they will be towards a man.
Absolutely.
And she was saying, in regards to favoritism, usually a man's favorite will be his daughter, but a lot of times a woman's favorite would be her son.
Right.
So she was saying that even in regards to like the discipline of school and the pushing of an individual, her mom would push her so much harder and kind of allow her son, her brother.
Yeah, I feel like this woman that's speaking about this, she lived in a family structure, because he said parents. I'm pretty sure he said parents in the beginning of that state, this conversation. So the dad
So
where's the dad's influence on this? If
he
the
never,
mom,
he never brought the dad in. It's always the mom saying this.
If the mom is
that.
teaching the daughter all this, and she's trying to like teach him like, dude, you better be independent, and you better not demand like. Then the daughter would have to ask, well, why is dad with you? Why are you with dad then? So it's like, was the mom living in this like fearful mindset of like, the dad was going to leave her,
or has a girl, or something? Like he does. There's like the way she's teaching her daughter. It's like there's no trust, no love between her and her husband. Like there's some kind of fearness in them, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Like. And I haven't heard them once mention where the husband's at.
Yeah.
Like it's always the mom pushing the daughter, the son to do this and that. But where's your husband?
Yeah.
If you're going to say family. When you mention family or whatever, that's a husband, wife, and kids type deal to me.
Yeah. We're missing a really big part of the picture. I feel like that woman that he got this story from, it's like they're painting like one side of the picture and not explaining the other side real well.
To be a lot more chill, a lot more laid back. So even from the financial perspective, there wasn't as much a drive in regards to schooling, education, independence, all the things that in a traditional sense, even if the woman is taking care of domestic responsibilities, if the man's at least taking care of the financial, there's a bit of a relationship symmetry and balance. But if she's doing financial and domestic, and he really hasn't been taught either growing up, then you have a whole generation of men who expect women to take care of them.
Okay, so that's I can see like where he's getting at, but who's to blame for that? That whole conversation was the mom was teaching the daughter this, and then the mom wasn't teaching the son anything. So then the mom is at fault.
Yep.
She's not teaching the son anything.
What do we say, ladies out there? Okay, you are your child's first teacher. You are your child's first person that they look up to. You're supposed to provide that nurturing, caring, the educational, and doing all this stuff to your child, whether it's a son or a daughter. So if you love your child equally, you would teach them what it's a man's supposed to do what it's a woman's supposed to be. Okay? So far, we're not hearing an equal party here. So you're trying to say this mom is raising the son to be a dumbass while she's just making sure that the daughter could do everything, make her clout, education, all that stuff. So how do you think the son is going to be when he has to provide for someone later? This other woman isn't going to look at him as, anybody or anything because no value. Because A, he has no hardly education. B, he's not even trying to work hard because his mom hasn't even pushed him to work hard or want anything or strive for anything to get better.
Yeah, I'm just saying this story is BS. Like I'm calling BS on this one because there's like a lot. Like okay, and so let's say the mom is doing all that. Like where's the father?
I didn't hear that yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where is the father in all this? Like, the father would have been beating this boy down if he was actually a high-value father, right? Mm-hmm. That's my point. So, like, something is amiss here. This story is just not complete.
And we do have a whole generation of men who, I don't know if they're expecting ladies to take care of them, but I do believe that they don't really have the drive that we have. Mm-hmm. That they don't have the drive to step up to the plate, to be the breadwinner, to provide for his family. It's you got to come on my show. We can talk about this. Like it's 50-50.
I think they're stereotyping a lot on a very unique set of men.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, like I said, the black community or black men. I think they're stereotyping this whole, like I said, this whole conversation started out feels before reals already, right? And so they're really talking about a very unique set of men, which is the low value men.
Minute, low beta men. That doesn't have the strive to do anything. That the man that looks like he's living underneath his parents' basement, that doesn't want to do anything and just play games all day. Yeah. You're picking out those men to be the future of something.
No, I'm just saying they're
comparison.
I'm just saying they're talking about that conversation of that men.
But I'm just saying it's like that low value, not even close to a beta man, and that's what the ones you're using as an example. Yeah, like he has no drive to do it. That's what they're trying to say. Men right now doesn't have the drive to support or do anything, waiting for the woman to take care of him. Yeah. Are you serious? Really? That ain't a man. I'm sorry, you don't have a backbone.
My point
if
is
you're waiting for a woman to take care of you. You're not a man.
My point is the stats don't show it, right? If the average earning stat is that a men make $50,000, that means you ain't lazy. You ain't sitting around home not doing anything. If the average, and like my other stat earlier, if we want to point directly to the black community, I said earlier that 60% of black men are in the middle class.
Yeah.
So they're pointing out, they're highlighting this very minutia choice of men is what I'm trying to say. And they're basing all their opinions.
And if these...
So those men are definitely
they're middle
failing.
class already working and everything. So how did you get these low, minute guys that you're comparing them to? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna have my thoughts at the very end, but I'm gonna wait for
Let's
this.
listen to the whole
I'm gonna make my statement
I'm
of the
itching my head
the
right
title of
here.
this video.
You made 50%. You made 50%. We do this thing together, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I mean, I do feel as if, and I say this respectfully, that I think we have to get back to the old school way, to our grandmother's way. Let's raise our ladies up to be ladies, and let's raise our men up to be men. Yeah. And both of us have different roles, but we are both equally just as important. And I think men, we got to step up to the plate. Ladies got to step up to the plate and come together for one union.
How do we get?
That's the only thing,
That I
truthfully,
agree.
that he said so far. These guys have said so far that I agree on this freaking video.
that part, that little part right there is the
that-
only thing.
So far, so far that I see is like any truth
That
so
clicked.
far. Correct.
To that point, like what do you feel like is the steps for that message to get out to the men to step up to the plate, do the role, and also for women as well?
Man, I think we gotta redefine what is that role. You know, what is that role? I mean, for me, in my personal house, again, my life. This is not facts or stats. Just as a Christian, I'm created to provide, protect, and be the priest of my home. That's my role as a man. And so, if I can't provide for the home, I'm slipping. If I can't protect my home mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally, then I'm slipping. If I'm not the priest, if I can't pray over and spiritually protect my home, then I'm slipping. I think we got to get back to just the core and the foundation of men.
Okay. So that's the end of the video, guys.
Yep.
I think it started from a very bad premise, right? My thoughts in terms of the title, it's not the men that is causing why men are failing drastically in 2022. It's all the stuff that we talk about all the time, the feminist lies, right? The big lie, right? The controlling of, wanting to control obviously our thoughts and our emotions, right? Social media, right? It's the women. That is, I'm not saying that the women are the full reason to cause, but my point is, it's the women's unfortunately being lied to and having this thought process that no average guy is good enough for them, right? The whole women wants the best and they only want the top 10% of men. That's why men are failing drastically in 2022. It's not because these guys are not good enough or whatever. These guys are the guys in this video. No diss on them, but they're talking about this really small minutia of men that are like beta loser men that these women are choosing to get with. So once again, whose fault is that?
Yours.
You're choosing to get with these low beta men and then having these outcomes, and then unfortunately training your daughters
and your son to be a certain way.
To in essence shy away from these men, right? I get that. That was from the fear mindset that now you say, hey, I don't want my daughter to choose this type of man. But what you inadvertently did was now you made them not wanting to be able to be with any man.
Any man.
So that's why we're failing, right? Because women are training other women to have this mindset, so not no men want you.
Yep.
Or the majority of men don't want you. That's why men are failing. It's not because that men are not, doing what they need to do, right? So I don't know. Like I said,
that's sort of like a weird mix.
I like the roommates. I've watched them from time to time, but like I said, I really feel like they I know, I don't even feel. I think they have this mindset of putting more onus on the men's side. And obviously I get it. They're trying to help men and advise men and make them better. Yeah. But there needs to be some accountability on the female side of the picture. So
Okay, guys.
Hey guys, thank you so much. Thank you. Hopefully we can if you guys like it, we can react to more of the roommates videos, but it was a good first one. Appreciate you guys. Once again, too, guys, we're going to be shooting our lives every Saturday, right? West Coast, Pacific Standard Time, right? 3:30, 4 o'clock every Saturday, moving forward.
Tune in with us.
So, just letting you guys know so you guys can watch out for the next one, all right? See you guys.
See you. Bye-bye.